Alright, looks like everything switched over to the layout fine. I'm just making sure all of the audio stuff is good to go. As people jump on and hang out, I'll have to spot check the audio like usual, but it should be fine. I haven't really tweaked the settings much since the last drawing stream. So to sort of get started on what I wanted to do today, it's been a couple streams since the very first one that we did here on the channel, which was a study of Homeworld anatomy and overall Homeworlder concept design. I spent some time going through some examples of what the Homeworld race looks like. So today I wanted to build on that a little bit since we focused on the anatomy side before. What I want to do in this particular session is take a look at clothing and armor for typical Homeworlders and explore some ideas for things that I've been wanting to test out in concept work form. So I'm working here in Clip Studio Paint Pro. For those that might be watching this for the first time, the drawing software that I use for this type of stuff is Clip Studio. But what I'm going to do is pull up the piece that I'm going to be working from to start. And this one I have not shown on stream. This is actually a concept collection I was working on before I started streaming here on YouTube. But it's very similar to the one we did live a couple streams ago. And this is a sample collection of Homeworlder concept work. And originally, when I was planning on what I wanted to cover on today's drawing stream, I had wanted to do the clothing and armor study like right out the gates from the beginning of the stream. Problem is I hadn't finished this second one that you see here, this second model. And even though it might take a little bit of time on the front end of the stream, I want to go and finish the shading. It's mostly done, just hasn't been shaded yet. So I'm going to go through as sort of a warm-up and add shading to the second one, and then from there we'll actually go into the concept work for clothing and armor. And that'll probably be a good time for me to do a bit of a recap as far as the specific attributes on the Homeworld design and anatomy side, since that's something we talked about a couple streams ago. And for folks who might be new to the whole concept art or the ideas that we've explored before, this will be a chance to sort of recap in case anyone's curious as to what we're doing here. And what I'm doing to start is I'm going through the sections and I'm putting down some real rough shadows. I'm going to work a little bit quicker than usual here, since last time we worked on these drawings I sort of talked at length about how I do my color assignment and shading. So I'm going to streamline it a little bit so I can work quickly and get on to the actual thing I wanted to focus on today. But to sort of back up and explain what it is we're looking at here, the creature designs that you see here on the concept sheet is what the Homeworlder race looks like. And these are examples of what people from Homeworld would look like from a physical anatomy perspective. And like someone asked on the previous stream we did for the Homeworld concepts, they asked if this is what I normally look like, since I'm an alien from Homeworld. And the answer is yes. I look somewhat similar to this in Homeworld form, but not quite the same. One thing I mentioned on the last stream that we did for this stuff was that I do have concept art drawn up, or sketched up, rather, for my Homeworld form, but I haven't put it into any sort of rendered form at all, because one thing I'd like to do at some point, if I can figure out a good way to do it or a good person to work with, would be to have a VTuber model for Homeworld form. Like I mentioned on that stream, part of the problem is it seems like Live 2D specifically is designed for more human-looking character models. And I've yet to see someone who's adapted it into a fully realized, like, non-human or monster type form. The only one I could think of, like I mentioned on the previous streams, would be Juniper. But she did all of the rigging for that herself. And I know she doesn't do commissions. So I'll have to find someone who's familiar with doing rigging for non-human type models and see if they could adapt that for something like this. But at some point in the future, once I figure out how it's going to work, I do want to do a Homeworld form reveal. It's just going to be a matter of logistics and figuring out how to actually get that into a workable format for streaming purposes here. Alright, I'm slowly working my way down from the head of the model here. Trying to shade in all the details. I'm working relatively fast. I don't think it'll be too much of an issue because I'll be able to go after I do the rough shading and then fix the color, not color levels, but the shadow levels. This is just to get everything roughed in relatively quickly, and then, like I did before, and I usually do on my drawings, I will go back and clean up the shadow layer and sort of finalize it here. I'm not going to worry too much about the shadows bleeding outside of the sort of contours and texturing here. And the reason for that is because when I go in to clean it up, I'll be able to make sure all of the lines are where they need to be. This exercise is more of a quick and dirty way to get the shadowing in place, and the cleanup will be the final step before the render's done. I think what I'm going to do, just so I'm not having to constantly be swapping colors, is I'm going to work from top to bottom like I was doing from the beginning, but I'm going to focus on each of the specific color sections rather than constantly swap my colors in and out. That way I don't have any issues with the shading being different shades, as it were. So I'm going to do all of the red sections of the main body first. And then I'll go back in and I'll do the purple shell sections next. And then sort of work my way through. I do want to make sure I don't leave any gaps in the shadows here, which, using this particular mechanical pencil brush, because it's not solid color blocking, if I'm not careful, it'll sort of look like it's washed out. And that'll be part of the cleanup too, is making sure we don't have anything funky going on with the way the lighting and the actual shadows themselves are falling. Alright, almost done with the sections here on the leg. I'm not going to have a whole lot of commentary and things to talk about as I finish the shading on this particular piece. So I'm going to just keep working here as quickly as possible so we can move on to the actual point of the study today. As far as the color paletting choices, since again I didn't work on this particular set of drawings on stream, I did mention before that the color paletting and color of Homeworlders in general does vary. There isn't really a set color scheme or skin color or what have you for the race itself. Homeworlders do vary as much as regular humans do when it comes to their colors and their physical attributes. But I wanted to sort of pick some contrasting combinations of colors for the sake of concept art. Which is why if we zoom out, the first one that I drew for this particular set of concept pieces was this one over here. on the far left, and then I duplicated the entire directory of layers, and I created the second one just by messing around with the color balance and hue and saturation settings like I've done before. For the sake of the study here, once I get done with the rendering on the second model, I will be using the models for the concept development of the clothing and armor, but I haven't quite decided how I want to do the alternate palettes. I'd rather spend time working on alternate designs for the clothing and armor than just doing palette swaps, but we'll have to see. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Alright, that should do it for the red parts of the body. Now we'll go in and start adding the shadows for the purple shell sections. Alright, just need to do the sections on the tail. Alright, next up we'll do the inner parts of the body. I thought a little bit, since nobody's asked so far, but I might as well explain it here. On Homeworlder Anatomy, there are these intersections in between joints and usually connecting limbs, and I don't really know what the official term for that would be. It's sort of just a connective tissue that is underneath the sort of shell-like or skin of parts of the body. So I would call it inner joints, just for the sake of having a name for it. I figure someone would probably ask at some point. And it's very common for people's digits and fingers and whatnot to match the color of their inner joints. We see that here on both the fingers and toes of the model. Alright, I think that'll do it for the digits and inner joints. Only thing left would be the minerals here. And these are very similar in color to the rest of the inner joint sections, but they're a little bit more sort of tan colored. Alright, I think that'll do it for the rough shadows. And now I'm going to sweep through real quickly and use my eraser to clean up the edges on the shading. And we're going to work, again, top to bottom, clean up the lines a little bit, and then we'll be done with the render for the second model here. Got some highlights to the eyes. Since we're zoomed in a little bit closer than when I was doing the rough shading process here, it'll give me a chance to make sure there's no washed out sections of what I've put down as well. Tends to be easier when you're zoomed further in on the drawing. Unlike before when we focused on specific body sections when doing the shading layer, because I'm just trying to do the entire cleanup all at once, that's why I'm sort of working top to bottom, right to left. I'm not really jumping around between different sections. I want to make sure I don't miss any cleanup sections that I want to fix as we're going. There's empty sections I should fix here. And torso plating. Alright, let's keep working our way down. On the legs. Let's do the left leg here. And the left arm. Need to make sure I don't skip any sections and clean up. Alright, once we get through the last little bit here, then we should be done. Alright, I'm just gonna sweep through and look for any other sections that I might have missed. I think we are good to go on model number 2 here. Alright, I think that will do. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a copy of this particular file because I'm going to be doing some stuff with it and I want to keep the original. Okay. Let's take a look at where we're going to be starting here. And I don't know how long I'm going to be working on this particular set of concept pieces today on stream. I've actually got to be somewhere a little bit later, so this probably isn't going to go as long as some of the other sessions. But I do want to at least get started on the concept process for outfits, clothing, and armor, and the like. So in thinking about how I wanted to do that, I think we have a pretty good starting point here in that we can use these two models to serve sort of a base or form template, and then come up with ideas for the different outfits or whatever it is we're going to do sort of in conjunction with the model. So what do I mean by that? Let's take number 1 here, and since I'm sure it's going to come up at some point, I'm going to go back, give myself a lighter blue, and we'll start doing some concept sketching here. But for our discussion purposes here, Our left model is male. Our right model is female. And like I mentioned before on our previous stream for the Homeworlder concept stuff, Homeworlders don't really have a lot of physical features that set them apart when it comes to gender. It's not a matter of height or build or anything when it comes to distinguishing the genders between the two. It sort of just varies individual to individual. As we work on the concept stuff a little bit more and get a chance to explore some stuff, there may be some things that we can kind of zoom in on as far as specific features, but you really can't tell Homeworlders by gender just based on their physical attributes. I guess that's the point I'm making here. It's not really something I wanted to put too much emphasis on, but since it usually comes up in questions, for the sake of the study here, these are our models 1 and 2. So for the concept sketching, I thought about how I wanted to do this, and I think the easiest way would be to start off with a sketch layer above the overall drawing. And let's see how we're gonna do this here. Okay. We'll put this one layer above. And so I've set the transparency to the main model layer below considerably lower because I'm going to be working on top of it when I'm doing my sketches for the outfits that's going to be actually drawn on the model. And I figured this would be the easiest way to do that, since I don't want to work directly on this particular layer, because if I make any mistakes, it's going to be tough to correct. So instead, what I want to do is sketch out the rough outlines of the outfit on a different layer, and then once I'm happy with it, I'm going to probably go in and change the line work of the original model and incorporate the design that way, and we'll see how cleanly that turns out. Because I don't want to redraw the whole model itself. I just want to add in the outfit features, and hopefully we can do that without making it look too cluttered. I think I'm going to go the clothing route for this first one. We'll see how the ideas sort of evolve here. I'm kind of thinking of doing clothing for the first one and an armor concept for the second. Let's see. I'm trying to think of a good way to do the lower torso part of the outfit here. I'm also trying to think of some... Oh, hey, what's up, Milk? How you doing today? Think about accessories and sort of decorative patterns for the outfit. Once I get the rough shape sort of finalized in the sketch here. Thinking something kind of like this that drapes off of the lower sections of the body and the upper legs. I want to sort of give it the look that it's a draping garment, but it's not tattered. It's not supposed to look like it's torn. I was thinking for the upper body, I was kind of toying between the idea of doing sort of shorter sleeves like a tunic or longer sleeves like a coat or robe. And if we were going to do longer sleeves and do something like that could be an option, but I kind of like the idea of doing a shorter sleeve garment for this one. Could follow the same sort of shape of the flared parts here like we did on the legs. If we do something like that, it's going to give us something that would just fall directly around the shoulders. And maybe you could do something like maybe put a design or a pattern on the shoulder like an emblem. That might not be a bad way to sort of switch up the decorative aspects of the outfit here. For the legs, kind of like the idea of boots or open-toed shoe coverings here. Let's see, how would that look? We could do something like this. That's essentially going over the foot, but it leaves the toe sections and the sort of top of the foot here open. But it's covering majority in the lower surface of the foot, so it'd be protective in a way, but still functional. In general, Homeworlder feet tend to be pretty durable, so we don't necessarily need to wear shoes all the time. It's really more of a function and fashion aesthetic. So if we did something like this, sort of a boot. And I do like the idea of leg wrappings. So we could do something like this. It starts from maybe the mid shin, let's say this is. Let's see, we'll do the same thing over here. I have to think about how that's going to wrap around underneath the foot. What I'm doing here is just trying to make sure the footwear is kind of symmetrical and lining up in the same spots on the model. It's a different angle. I think from this angle, since it's essentially, if you look at the way the foot is, and the foot looks like this from the side, and the toes are here. There's a real rough sketch of a foot real quick here. If this is the foot, then the footwear would be up here above the ankle and wrap around this way just above where the toes start. So in that sense, I don't think we really need to worry too much about being able to see the undersides of it, since it's essentially cutting off probably around here, a little bit further back. So I'm just going to clean up this part here. So when we go in to do the actual line work and inking, it doesn't look off. Alright, let's take a look at the rough sketch we've got so far and do some status checks. Again, this particular layer is just supposed to be rough and get the basic details of what we want for the outfit here. And now this is going to be a good time to go and add up any additional details or things like accessories on the rough primary phase. So when I actually go in and start doing line work, I can incorporate them in the design that way. For accessories, I do like the idea of jewelry. It's pretty common for Homeworlders to have either chains or different types of adornments on their outfits, depending on how much they choose to spend and invest in stuff like that. Usually people that are quote-unquote more important tend to dress fancier, as it were. Hey, what's up, Edward? Welcome to the stream. Good to see you, as always. How you doing? See, I haven't looked at the chat list. Who we got in here so far? It's like people are just kind of coming and going, which is great. Thinking about possible accessory ideas and adding some sort of bracelet type things on the arm. We'll see once I start doing the actual line work how that looks. What I'm doing here is just adding a trailing edge on the clothing. Oh yeah, Edward, since you're here, how are we doing on sound? I haven't heard any complaints from anybody else yet, but how's the sound balance and the background music coming in? Are you able to hear both? Okay? Alright, thanks. Appreciate it. Like I mentioned earlier, I haven't really done too much with the audio settings for the drawing stream. The way we had it set up before seemed like it was working alright. I did notice on the footage I recorded for the last gaming stream when I was playing Nocturne, like I do at the end of every stream, I delist the stream playback from the raw capture on YouTube, and then I go and do my editing and rendering of the final stuff and I upload it later as a separate file. One thing I noticed looking at that last stream when we were playing Nocturne, the overall quality was, in my opinion, very choppy. I watched through different sections of the stream, and to me it looked like it was running at less than 30 frames a second, and it seemed really hiccupy. But I know folks that were on the stream that day said it was alright. And that was with a slightly higher bitrate than I'm doing on here and I've done on a couple of the other streams. So I'm not exactly sure why it did that, but it didn't look good. I wouldn't have wanted to make that particular stream public because the quality just, to me, wasn't there. But for now, since I've been editing and re-rendering the footage and uploading it later, it's not a super big deal. But at some point I'm going to need to figure out how I can get higher quality streaming, so that ultimately the goal is, when I've been doing this for long enough, the quality for the broadcast will be to the point where I don't need to go and edit and upload a separate file. But I don't know if that's going to come down to internet connection, or if I need to mess around with the settings in OBS some more. Because when I start playing things that are a bit more higher graphic quality, like Guilty Gear, I definitely don't want it to look choppy and sort of hiccupy on stream. Well, I may have to talk to some other folks and get some tips on how to fix that. Until I figure out a solution, then I'm going to keep uploading edited versions of the archives. That way, if people want to watch the stream archives later, they're watching it at better quality than if I just made the regular stream archives public. Alright, what we got now is a sketched in primary of the potential outfit for our model here. So now what I want to do is actually start incorporating that into the line work. And that's over here. Alright, first I'm going to switch over to my inking pen. Probably drop this down to 5 should work. Now I'm not sure if this is a common technique when people are doing this type of iterative concept design, but I'm gonna test it out and we'll see how it works. So if we go to our line layer and use the primary sketch as a guide, what I'm going to start doing is erasing the spots that I'm going to have to redraw in and re-ink. And I'm using the sketch layer sort of as a guide for where I want to do that. It's a little uncomfortable to do since I'm essentially just erasing parts of the finalized line work that I spent all that time cleaning up and doing previously. It should be fine. I could do this part in big sections, but I want to be careful how far I'm erasing down here. Alright, I need to do the legs and feet as well. Get the arm. Alright, if we take the sketch layer away and hide it, this is also a good chance to see what we missed as far as deleting out the line layer, because I want to make sure this is clean, or it's going to make the final line work and recoloring of the new sections we're drawing on the outfit is going to make it more difficult if it's messy. So I'm just going to go through here and clean this up, and ultimately I'm going to have to sort of do one more cleanup once I draw in parts of the outfit. This is just to make my job easier later. Alright, what we've got now is our outfit sketch primary over the sort of cleaned up or deleted line work layer. So now what I'm going to do is start inking in the details and the stuff we're adding. And I'm going to work on a separate layer, that way I can make sure it's 100% clean, and then once I'm happy with that, I'll merge it with the original line work layer we deleted all the stuff off of. Alright, we've got parts of the upper torso outfit sort of coming together here. Since I'm sort of finalizing parts of the sketch, doing the line work here, it's also a good chance to just make sure I'm not making any other symmetrical mistakes or anything's weird with the perspective. It's dropping down the line weight on my inking pen here. If I get high pressure, it's going to be a little bit thicker. And I want to be consistent with the line weight on the original concept piece line art. Otherwise, it's going to look like I'm using two different brushes. Alright, looks like there's going to be some stuff to clean up on the line layer. In fact, I'll do that right now. I'm just going to delete all this stuff here. Since the outfit's going to be intersecting anyway, it'll just be easier to do it like that. You could probably cut this in a little bit further, like so. All right, now I guess we can add this stuff here on the arm. I'm gonna keep the bracelets. Why not? Accessories are always good. Okay, we'll add the line work for the foot gear. Alright, I think that'll do for the foot gear. Now, before we start merging stuff together, one layer below, I think I'm going to do some cleanup on just the new parts of the sketch on the outfit here. To do that, I'm just going to hide the primary. I'll get some fold lines to add here. Yeah, add the primary, and now I'm going to do some preliminary cleanup just on the stuff we've added here. This is to ensure that when we merge it with the main line layer below, it sort of goes in and there's no flaws or things on here we don't want. Alright. Not a whole lot to clean up since it's just one section here. Alright. Now we need to merge this with the lower line layer and then do one final cleanup with everything to make sure what we've got is good to go for our line work, and then we'll work on doing color assignment for the outfit. Since per the original we have color assignment for all the stuff that was part of the sort of unclothed model, so it's going to be a matter of just coloring the stuff we're adding in here, and I'm going to have to go through and delete out sections of the color assignment, which I will do after we finish the line work here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge this down with the layer below, and now everything's been put together, Let's see. Ooh, this one. All of our new stuff and the existing line work is now on one layer. So now it's just a matter of cleaning it up. Again, like I mentioned towards the beginning when I started working on this particular outfit, I don't know if doing this merging of line art is the most common way people do iterative design. It was just the simplest way I could think of to do something like an outfit, because the idea is in the future, because I want to spend more time on future streams working on this. In the future, when I want to revisit the idea of outfits, or if I come up with a real interesting idea that I want to put into practice, then I could just pull up this template, use the same model, and then swap out the line work again and add a new outfit, and then it's like the model's just changing clothes. That way I don't have to redraw the whole thing every time. Okay, let's take a look at what the merged line art looks like now. Make sure we don't have any other spots that we need to fix. It's gonna fix this part here. And we don't have that little spot exposed. Okay. Let's do a status check here. I think the best way to do that, let's hide model number 2 for a sec. I made a copy of the original model number 1. So let's compare them before we start looking at color assignment. So what we have here is the original model on the right with no outfit, just naked, I guess. And then with the outfit on the left. And I think everything in there will work. I'm gonna have to remember my brush size for the pen. Yeah, okay, let's move on to color assignment. I think because I'm gonna have to cut off today's stream a little bit earlier than usual, I think I should have enough time to finish color assignment and shading on model number 1's outfit. And then we'll probably have to devote another stream to doing the female model's outfit. I want to do an armor set for that one, and that's going to take a lot more time. So let's go ahead and hide you. We're going to go into the color assignment layer for model number 1. And now, just like we did before, I need to clear out all of the stuff that's from the old unclothed version of the model and save myself some time, and to make this a little bit cleaner, I'm going to do this using the lasso and select all the layers at once, or not layers, but all the sections I want to delete. And there's some sections we can delete by hand that are a little bit smaller, but the main portions we're getting rid of. Doing it in one big selection like that is going to save some time. And do the same thing down here for the footwear. Okay. Now we need to do the arm. Now I just need to fix these sections on the leg. And I think that'll do for the color assignment. Now we just need to go in and color all the stuff we added. So let's see, what would be a good color scheme? I didn't really think in advance what kind of color palette I wanted for the outfit. Do a mix of yellows and greens. let's see. I'm gonna start experimenting around with sections here and just see how the color combinations look. Thinking sort of a lighter green for the main part of the garment, and then maybe a darker trim color for the highlights. Whoops. One thing I'm always paranoid about when I'm working in Clip Studio or any sort of drawing program is that I'm going to accidentally draw on the wrong layer, which can be a real problem if you do it and don't realize it. I think that's something every artist who works in digital drawing has done at some point. And the worst part is when you get an hour down the road and realize you've been putting all of your colors on your shading layer, or vice versa, or putting your colors directly on your line work layer, which you can do, but it makes it a lot more difficult to mess around with edits later if you want to change things. Alright, as I start adding more colors to the outfit, I'm also going to be trying to clean up any sections I see that may have color missing. Another way to do color assignment, which I think I've talked about, but I don't do often, is this selection-based method like this, which works pretty well if you need to get into some kind of restricted areas where you have to go and assign colors. I find it's usually easy just to do the select and fill. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter as long as you're able to cleanly add colors where you need to. Let's see, what color do we want the shoes to be? I'm thinking like a sort of tan grayish color for the shoes. Now we can just one select that. I think that'll work. Alright, we also need a highlight color for these sort of jewel things that are inset on different parts of the clothing and footwear. How about, let's see, we could do like a kind of pale yellow. I could do like a green blue. That's probably gonna contrast a little more with all of the greens and sort of lighter greens that are on the outfit so far. Do something like that. Use sort of a off gold color for this braided chain here on the shoulder. I'm gonna use the same thing down here for the bracelets. Okay. Now that we've got all the colors assigned for the outfit, move on to shading. I'm just doing a quick sweep here to make sure I haven't missed any color sections that need to be fixed. Alright. Last part that we'll work through here. Should have enough time to finish this before I gotta take off. We're gonna need to do on the shading layer just like we did for the color assignment layer, since we went back and we added in all of this new line work, is I'm gonna have to delete out all the shading that was from the original model. And like before, the easiest way to do this without having to spend a lot of time on it would just be to section select all these parts of the shading layer, just clear them out, like so. And we're going to have to probably change a little bit of the shading that's from the original model, just because now that there's outfits and other things that are part of the body, the way the lighting is going to fall is going to change a little bit. So we'll need to make sure and fix that here. Okay. Now it'll just be a matter of going in and adding in all of the shading to the outfit. And then we'll be able to clean that up. And that'll do it for outfit number 1. Oh, I need to delete the highlight layer out of the legs too. All right. Let's keep working through the clothing and adding in shading where we need to. Applying the shading layer here is also going to show us, just like in the other sections, if we missed any spots in color assignment. Alright, we're making our way towards the legs and lower body. See, that should do it for the main clothing layer. Now we just need to go and add shading to the trim. I'm going to do the entire upper body first, and then I'll do the shoes and lower legs. And then we'll do the highlights on the jewels here. We just need to move on to the parts of the legs and the shoes. And then I will go in and start doing the cleanup. Need to make sure and add some shading around the foot now that the shoes are there. Likewise, just do that up here, the bracelets. Okay, I think that'll do it for color assignment and shading now. Now we just have to go in and clean up the shadows, make everything clean. Oh, we need to do the rest of the jewelry here and not forget to put highlights on bracelets. And the chain clip on the shoulder. Alright. So now we can go through and start doing the final cleanup on all the shadow stuff here, and then that should do it. Almost forgot to do that section there. That would have been bad. Alright, working our way down through the sections of the outfit in order here. Now we can see where we need to clean up on legs and feet. Right. That's all of the major sections we've added. Now I'm just going to do some final checks with the shadows. See if there's anything else that needs to be cleaned up, and then we will be done. Before we wrap up for the day today, I'm gonna experiment around with some alternate color palettes for the male model here and the outfits. That'll be the last thing we do to sort of close out. And the next drawing stream, which I have not scheduled yet, we'll be spending time working with the female model and focusing on armor. Homeworld armor is going to be fun to draw. I've done some concept ideas so far just on paper, and I'd like to be able to build on those ideas for drawing session here. Alright. I think that will do for the outfit. Let's compare it to the original unclothed model here. What we ended up with, based on all these different ideas, is a sort of short-sleeved, I think it looks kind of like a tunic that's got a couple different layers and it's sort of a draping garment, so it's not like a form-fitting or skin-tight outfit. It's a bit more loose and flowing, probably something you would see folks wearing in a casual environment. Nothing formal. It's got a couple different types of accessories, nothing too out there. But what we can do, just to see how it looks, is try some alternate color schemes for both the model and the outfit, since they're colored on the same layer, and that's something I didn't think about when I was merging everything together. In the future, I may put the outfit color assignment on a different layer than the skin and body and hair and whatnot. That way, if I want the model to be the same color but change the color of the outfit, then I can do that separately. But that's fine for this one. All right, we're going to duplicate this. Call this B2. And I believe I'll have to merge this into one solid layer in order to manipulate the color levels all at once. So let's see, let's move this off to the side from our original. Let's see what we get. Because the line work is black, it shouldn't affect anything as I'm messing around with the levels here. So if we wanted to flip the hue levels around, we could get something like a mix of blues. We could get something that's a bit more mix of reds. If we up the saturation, we'll get some slightly more intense colors, more bold color shades here. And now that we have this, we could even do this a third time. We do 3 alternate color palettes for this particular outfit. Just why not? For fun. We get something like this, a mix of sort of blues and purples. Almost looks like an Ava Unit 1 color scheme with the bright green against the purples. So with that said, this is an example of how I want to approach the Homeworlder study when it comes to concept design and outfits for the different models that we've got here. I'm planning on revisiting this for the next drawing stream, whenever that is, because I think it'd be, one, interesting to focus on armor for the other model we didn't get to work with today, but also in the future, when we do these types of drawing streams, if I want to take this model or any of the other ones that I draw, I'm probably going to be doing some more Homeworlder models just to show some variation as far as the designs go, but pulling those up and then coming back to revisit and doing different outfits, I think it'd be kind of interesting to end up with, let's say, for model 1 here, we have 5 different outfits with a mix of clothing and armor and whatnot. And when it comes to potential ideas for VTuber models or anything like that, then I've got a reference of material to use if I ever want to say, let's see, take this particular guy's outfit and purpose it for my model when I eventually find a way to do that. But I think that'll do it for the stream today. Like I said, I've got to run out for an appointment in a minute here, so we'll be cutting off a little bit shorter than usual. But once again, thanks to all the folks that stopped by and hung out on today's drawing stream. I will be posting the stream schedule for next week later this evening before the end of the day. The next one's actually going to be tomorrow on Monday, unless something changes at the last minute. I'm planning on doing a jam stream tomorrow to pick up on beatboxing stuff. So the announcement will go out on Twitter as usual once I have everything finalized. But once again, thanks for hanging out. I will see you guys later. Have a good afternoon.